The Fetish Kidnapper, played by Miss Horny Honey.
It was a stormy night. She woke up with the umpteenth thunderclap, and even though she was completely in the dark, she realized that she was in a bed that was not hers. She knew seconds before opening her eyes. The smell of the room was different from that of her house. The feel of the bed sheets was extremely soft. Sure enough, she had woken up in an unfamiliar room. Suddenly a very dim light turned on. She was naked, only a soft bed sheet covered part of her skin. Her chest was uncovered, as were her legs. The bed sheet barely covered her hips, hiding her belly and her sex. Her bare feet were also uncovered. She watched them, still half asleep. With the low light she saw that her nails were painted in red. How strange, she could have sworn that she hadn't painted her nails lately. She tried to move around to get a better look at her toes. But she couldn't do it. She was tied up. Her hands and ankles were restrained by leather straps. It was impossible to let go. It was one thing to wake up in an unfamiliar room, which was not the first time it had happened to her, and another to appear naked and tied up who knows where. She screamed for help. She screamed at the top of her lungs. But she soon understood that no one would come to help her. Whoever had tied her up had left her mouth uncovered, so it was evident that this place was very far from any human being. Or maybe not. A few seconds later the door of the room opened, emitting a creak similar to that in horror movies. The light coming through the door blinded her eyes. She heard footsteps as her green eyes adjusted to the light. She asked the shadow that was entering the room for help, but before finishing it, she cried out pleadingly and understood that, by the way he walked, slow and deliberate, that shadow was her kidnapper. And evidently it was a man. What is he going to do to me? She thought. She knew she couldn't let go, but still she tried to move with all her might. It's useless for you to try, said the shadow. You can't let go. The male shadow approached the bed without haste. He sat next to her feet and watched her. You don't remember me, do you? She shook her head, not understanding anything. I work at the bar next to your office. Every morning I serve you coffee, but you don't even know who I am. She stared at him. His face was totally unfamiliar to her. I serve you coffee while I watch you. I always say good morning to you and smile at you. You, on the other hand, never look at me. You sit at the same table as always and pay when you leave. You don't even order the coffee because you know that someone, a mysterious shadow perhaps, will bring you your coffee every day. When you leave $5 on the table and leave the bar without saying anything. While you have breakfast, you never talk to anyone. You're focused on your papers and your tablet, looking at those graphs that no one understands. I know you do something with those graphics, but I don't know what. I only know that you make a lot of money with them, because the tip every day is generous. And because you dress well. And because your shoes are expensive. She remained silent, listening to the stranger. She invested her money and that of her clients in stocks on the NYSE and Nasdaq. It is true that she lived well. And it is true that in that bar, while she was having breakfast, she continued working. She never knew that there was a waiter watching her. I'm not just watching you, the unknown waiter told her. He got out of bed and left the room. Wait, I want to talk to you, she said. But he didn't seem to hear her. Or if he heard her, he did the same thing she did every day at the bar. Ignore her. The door closed and the dim light went out. She was left in the dark again. A few seconds later a television in front of the bed turned on. She watched the screen with interest. After a few seconds with the white noise image, some images appeared that surprised her. From that moment on she watched television with her mouth open without being able to close it. She appeared on the screen. Specifically, her feet appeared. She understood that the unknown waiter had placed a camera on the floor to record her feet playing with her shoes while she had breakfast daily in that bar. Did I say a camera? No. The images followed one another showing her feet from various angles. It was a complete collection of her seen from various angles sitting in her chair and playing with her shoes while she ate breakfast. High heels, sling-back shoes, Flats, bare feet, feet with nylons. The television showed one after another scenes of her feet doing shoe play, dangling, and all kinds of games with her shoes. She was never conscious of doing that. And much less did she know that the unknown waiter, whose name she never knew and didn't even remember his face, was secretly recording those scenes. After a few minutes, the television paused one of the images showing her feet in black nylons. The door opened again. "That's enough," said the voice of the unknown waiter, closing the door again behind him. "I don't understand anything," she said. "I'll explain it to you," he replied. "While you have breakfast, I record your feet every day. You've never noticed it. And at night, I watch the recording of each day lying in this bed." She remained silent, waiting for further clarification, because she still didn't understand. "I'm obsessed with your feet," the unknown waiter confessed. She still didn't understand. "I need to touch them. I need to kiss them. I need to smell them. I need to know that you want me to do it." She closed her mouth very slowly and swallowed. Her kidnapper must have been sick. "I'm not crazy," he said, understanding what she was thinking. She smiled nervously, not knowing what to say. "I don't think you're crazy," she replied. If she laughed at him, maybe he would hurt her, and that was the last thing she needed. She had to buy time to escape. "I just want to do what I told you, and I'll let you go." After thinking for a moment, she nodded. "Do you only want to do that? Aren't you going to rape me or hit me?" "No." "Or kill me?" "No," he said simply. "It's okay," she replied. The unknown waiter's proposal seemed reasonable. She agreed to his wishes, and after a few minutes he untied her. That would be all. She agreed while she asked him as calmly as she could if he had been the one who had painted her toenails red. "Indeed," responded her kidnapper, who again sat next to her feet. At first she felt ticklish and moved her feet involuntarily. But as the seconds passed, she got used to the stranger's fingers. The man caressed her instep with his fingertips. He ran through the arcs of her. He circled around her heels. He mingled with her toes. Suddenly, he crouched down and repeated the same movements, but this time with his tongue. She moaned helplessly. For some reason she didn't understand, she was getting excited. He watched her in silence. He smiled and refocused. "I knew you'd like it," he told her. She opened her mouth even wider than before so she could take in more air. Her heart was beating fast inexplicably while the stranger's tongue played with her toes. What sexual power that situation had. She was not able to understand it. Minutes later her moan ended in an intense orgasm and her heart began to beat at a normal rate again. The evil kidnapper sat up satisfied and, wiping his mouth with the palm of his hand, left the room. She watched him silently as her breathing returned to normal. Immediately, the door to the room opened again and the waiter, who was no longer so unknown, appeared with a tray in his hand. "I'll bring you your favorite coffee," he told her. He untied the straps from her hands and stood aside, while she gratefully drank her coffee. This time she woke up without thunder, without nerves, and without kidnappers. She was in her bed, between her bed sheets, wearing her favorite pajamas. She pulled back the bed sheets and looked at her feet. Her nails were clean. "It's strange," she thought. "They are not painted red. I still don't understand anything, but I suppose that there was some sleeping pill in the cafe both to kidnap me and to return me to my house. And he must have had time to remove my nail polish while I was sleeping." That morning she repeated her usual routine. Her gymnastics before leaving the room, her shower, her quick breakfast, her beauty ritual consisting of light makeup and elegant hairstyle. She dressed in her favorite skirt and her best blouse, some high-heeled sandals, and went to work. At mid-morning she went to the usual bar and sat at her daily table, observing each person carefully, looking for her kidnapper. Before sitting down, she observed the chair and table in detail, looking for hidden cameras, which made the people at the tables next to her look at her with curiosity. Nothing. There was no sign of any camera. This time she went to the bar without papers and without a tablet. Work could wait. She wanted to see her kidnapper and ask him many questions. Nothing. There was no sign of the mysterious character, and she regretted not having brought her tablet to wait for her coffee while she worked a little. Suddenly a shadow appeared behind her and one arm brought her a coffee, which was left on her table, and disappeared in silence. "Wait," she said, turning around. When she turned around, the kidnapper had turned into an Asian waitress, who asked her if she wanted anything else besides her daily coffee. She looked at her with wide eyes. "And the waiter?" she asked her. "Only I work here," she replied. "Do you want anything else?" "Because I have many clients to attend to." She hesitated for a few moments, not knowing what to say. "Okay," said the Asian waitress. "If you want anything else, I'll be back in a moment. By the way, I love your sandals. They would look better on you with red painted nails."